So that's the way D2 ends. After Laura defeats the Shadow, she goes back in time 1 year, long before the actual invasion happened, and she meets David, and we see that Kimberly has become a published author. And somehow she has retained, Kimberly that is, retained the lessons, I guess, that she learned, where she said that she had always been depressed, but David said that when he reads her poems, they're all so full of hope. So apparently her life is, she's gotten her life back together, even though in this timeline she never actually met Laura, so I don't know how that works. It also looked like that was Janny and her mother running across the bookstore for an instant there. It's kind of hard to tell, but I think that's who it was. And then we get a montage, a video of things from the history of humanity, mostly having to do with warfare, also having to do with how much humanity kind of sucks. That's basically what that was about. We see that there's a contrast between the high technology and advances that we make and the warfare that we engage in and the poverty that exists to this day, and it all has something to do with something and making some kind of statement. And we get this at the end. It's a list of facts about the Earth, about humanity, and it just kind of goes on like this. Quite a lot of facts. This ending, I was never really sure if this was supposed to be in the style of Metal Gear Solid or if it was making fun of it. Because that's just what it reminded me of. In Metal Gear Solid 1, you had the ending with the live-action footage and the facts talking about nuclear weaponry and nuclear materials, nuclear powers, things like that. And in this game, it just goes on a lot more than that, covering a whole bunch of stuff, such as in this one, average life expectancy, talking about how people live longer today than they used to. Of course, that's addressing overpopulation, rainforest destruction, and just kind of goes on like this. A wide variety of things. Temperatures going up, yep. And, like I said, the message is just sort of a general humanity is doing something wrong, I think. It doesn't really address any one thing. All I can guess, though, is maybe the Shadow read this list of facts before coming to Earth, and that's why he felt he had to come on and just kill everyone. Because he was reading this list, and he saw percentage of plant species on the verge of extinction 1997, almost 14%! Well, obviously the Shadow has an affinity for plants, since they came from him, the plant monsters, so I guess that angered him. Right, so that was D2. I hope you're not doing anything for a while, because this does go on for a few minutes. So, I said at the beginning of the game, at the beginning of D1 actually, that I always liked unusual games. That's what attracted me to D2. The gameplay is not the best. It really could have been more polished. Very much so. I don't know if you were getting this impression from me as I was playing the game. The controls are actually rather difficult, rather unwieldy. It's kind of difficult to even walk in a straight line. For some of the bosses, the aiming is very bad. So there are those things, but at the same time, I kind of think D2 is more than the sum of its parts. It just all comes together, not well, but it comes together in a way that's very interesting to me. And I don't know if you feel the same way, but I like that sort of unusualness in a game. D2 certainly wasn't predictable, that's for sure. And I do like to see more of that kind of thing in games, though maybe if you had too much of it, maybe it would start to become more cliché. But anyway, that's why it kind of disappointed me when I saw that Kenji Eno, when he went back into games, the only thing he's made so far was that one game on WiiWare in Japan. Because, you know, it's not a story-based game or anything, it's just a very, very old-style gameplay-based game, how to say it. But it doesn't actually have a story or anything like that. But that's what I want to see from Eno. I want to see him make more stories. I want to see him make more interactive movies. I want to see what else he can come up with. Because even if the gameplay, I mean, he should bring in a consultant on the gameplay. I mean, he should do that. He should bring in someone who, has a better track record of making games that play better. But as far as the storyline, characters, things like that, I do like what he was bringing. Just because it was so different from anyone else. Now, of course, the music that we're hearing here is Counting the Roses. This was a song made from Kimberly's poem. And, everyone lived happily ever after, I guess. Laura and David met, though David seemed to think that Laura was a crazy person, since she was screaming his name and hugging him, even though he thought that they never met before. And why was Laura so happy to see him? Well, it was because he died in the 8 days that she didn't remember. I always felt that Laura probably ate him, because Kimberly said at the beginning of the game that it seemed that Laura had been eating very well during the 8 days, and she said that there was no one else around besides Janny. Janny said that there was never anyone else around. She didn't see anyone besides besides Laura. So David's body just vanished, I guess. So I always felt that there was some cannibalism going on there, being that this is a Kenji Eno game, and we all know how he likes his cannibalism. I think it's a very valid idea that Laura just ate David after he died. I feel that's probably what happened. So that's why Laura was so happy to see him alive at the end of the game, because the guilt of eating David was tearing her apart. To the point where she just didn't want to talk anymore. At the end of the game, when she meets David, then she starts talking. Alright, probably that's not the idea, but yeah, that could be a theory. So yes, Kimberly, apparently, like I said, looks like she's gotten her life back together. So everything ended up well for her. Which, for some of you might be a bad thing. You might not want to see that. And then when you win the game, you get this after the credits. It gives you the time and date. Now, it gives you the current time and date. However, before I started playing, I set the clock of the Dreamcast so that it would be around midnight of December 31st, 2000 by the time I won. And I was within 5 minutes, it looks like, so pretty good. The reason I did this was because I never knew if there was any actual purpose to this. And thinking about it, the game takes place on New Year's of 2001. So what happens if we have the timer on during the changeover from 2000 to 2001? Does anything happen? So I thought I'd just set it to see if anything comes up. So we have 3 minutes to go until that happens. So what else can we talk about here? Well, I mean, I think everything sort of got wrapped up, kinda, maybe. There are things that didn't really get explained, such as Linda and what Stonehenge had to do with any of this. In the end, though, it wasn't important. It really was not important at all. It was something that had that got some exposition in the game. We had that crazy person who was on Linda. We had Kimberly's story. We had the Brenner Pharmaceutical bit and the observatory. But in the end, it really had nothing to do with anything. Linda was completely unrelated to the Shadow, even though people who took Linda had visions of the Shadow. Why is that? I don't know. And then there was Laura's father, the winged person who was found in the stomach of a mammoth. What did winged people have to do with the game? There was nothing else about winged people anywhere else in this game. And we just find out, just right out of nowhere, your father, he lived, hundreds of thousands of years ago and was eaten by a mammoth. He had wings. So, there's that. Yeah. And I don't know if I like or hate the game for just throwing out things like that and not explaining them or bringing them up ever again. I'm not sure if I like that or not. I kind of like it, because I don't know, that just appeals to me a little bit. But, I mean, it would have been nice to have a little bit of kind of foreshadowing there about what all of that is supposed to mean. We're getting there. We have less than a minute before the end of the world, before the shadow comes and wreaks plant monsters on us. So, the will of the cosmos directed the shadow to kill all of us. So I guess if there ever was a D3, it would be Lawler versus the will of the cosmos. Now, the games would probably be unconnected. But yeah, why did the will of the cosmos want to kill us? Well, we don't know. And since we thwarted the will of the cosmos, does that mean humanity is really safe, or will something else come? Because the cosmos is still angry at us. We managed to avoid death this time. But the cosmos, they still have it in for us. Like they did for the dinosaurs for some reason. I don't know why they wanted to kill the dinosaurs, but they did. And the shadow came, and you think the shadow turned them into plant monsters? Imagine if there was a dinosaur plant monster. They should have had that. I would have liked to have seen that. But yeah, we avoided the fate of the dinosaurs, killed the shadow, and everything is happily ever after for humanity. And oh dear, we have less than 10 seconds before the end of the world. If Kenji Eno, if you happen to hear this, I do want to see another game from you. I love you all. 4, 3, 2, 1. Oh, that's kind of nice. I didn't actually expect anything to happen there, but I guess if you happen to have this going during New Year's of 2001, you would have seen this little message from Kenji Eno. Welcome to the 21st century. We all suck and we're going to die. So with that note, this has been Let's Play D and D2. I hope you've enjoyed watching it, and maybe I'll see you another time. Goodbye, everyone.
Wait. What really killed the dinosaurs?
Me!